It's just a different time period, you know. This is a 68. It's a progression of the brand of where cars are at now. This is the one that kind of like is very memorable, or the start of everything, so to speak. I had a lot of older cousins that really kind of taught me how to appreciate cars. My family had a business with a big parking lot, so you always saw a bunch of cars in general. So there wasn't any specific ones that I really gravitated towards. I was just always around them, being driven in them. I think for this car, it has a special story. In my past, I worked at a company called Pelican Parts for a few years, which is totally random because I was a huge Japanese car guy. I was a big Honda guy. It was a great entry point to really get into cars via Hondas. So me working at Pelican Parts, which is a portion of BMW online parts store, I got a chance to learn a bunch about them. So I was the guy that always had Japanese cars there, so they kind of just made fun of me in some weird way. So learning about Porsches and BMWs was kind of key during that time. Never owned one. Really, the story behind this car is that after I left that company, one of my friends sent me a Craigslist ad, and it was also on eBay. And then I was going out to lunch, and then I finally bid on it because he was like, you got to bid on this car, this is perfect for you. And I went to lunch and I put like a max bid, which ended up getting this for well under $2,000 at the state of how it was sold. And then I ended up driving up to Sacramento with my wife, and she followed me, and I had a lot of friends in Sacramento, so I stayed with them. And it was really about somebody that really wanted to get rid of the car because he had some tax issues, so he had to raise money. From there, we basically drove to San Francisco. It was leaking, the motor mounts were all screwed up. It was just a mess. Stayed in San Francisco and eventually drove it all the way back down to here to LA, well over 10 hours. In the rain, wipers didn't work, leaking gas. It was just in a horrible state. And that was 15 years ago. I've had this car for well over 15 years now. It's old, right? So it's over 50 years old. So of course, it's definitely a different experience, just the whole feel of it, you know? So it is, it's just super old that we kind of like slowly built up again. It's never gonna be as modern, but it's just a whole different genre of cars. So this is actually swapped with the 5-speed now. This is somewhat of a built race motor at this point. It is a stroker motor on 45s, fully built. Technically the third motor that we've had. The first one was in such poor condition, right? And then we had that one rebuilt. And then a funny story is that this was in the shop and another customer came in with an issue with their motor, so ended up selling what I currently had to that customer, and then ended up with this motor based off of, it was at the machine shop, and I think customer flaked. So by selling what we currently had and getting what is currently in it, it kind of just worked out. So it was just timing, but also, you know, got to help a customer out because they didn't have to wait, you know, for their motor to get rebuilt. So it is totally different from a standard 1600, but yeah, little by little, it kind of is in its third iteration. You know, I think the first part was just getting it working, and then the cosmetics, but it was just in really bad shape. When I think about what this car is, it's just really a progression of time and effort. With any old car, of course, you're a AAA member, so it's having those moments of just breaking down somewhere on the side of the road, and then trying not to do that in the future is really the progression of what to fix next. It's consistent now, you know, but I think it was touchy before. And I think that just goes into the progression of it. It's quick, it's nimble. It does have a lot of personality, how hard you drive it. But from where it is now, it's pretty normal. I think it's kind of like a weird time machine in some weird way. It's a different driving experience because there isn't any of those creature comforts. No heater, no air conditioning, no radio, but you just have the sound of the motor. Pretty basic in some weird way, but it is a different experience without all that stuff. You're more kind of in tune with the car, but also it's just really stripped down. So it's kind of a cool experience. A lot of people don't get experience driving these cars, so it is pretty free with a lot of people, you know, experiencing it because you don't really get a chance to. I think it's exciting to drive this car, whether you drive it to the store or in the canyons or just cruising around town, running errands. There's been so much help with this car, especially with Matt Rose at Ronin Auto Works. It's a funny story how we met as well, but basically he's helping out a lot. You know, there's other people as well, Kenny at Fumson. But definitely it's been a help with everybody. My wife did the first interior. There's all these little bits and pieces that we've always kind of got the help, and doing it yourself and also getting help. There's a few years that I sold it to one of my good friends up north, just because we've just moved into our house and I just didn't have time to spend with it, and it ended up coming back a few years later. Part of the deal maybe, but really it just kind of worked out. The history, the time spent with it. I think lucky to have a few other cars that I felt like I would sell before this one, but this was always the one that I'd want to keep, just historically. So really kind of bonded with it. You know, it's been with me like before I had kids, or even before different businesses took off. So it has a really long history to it. Time and effort, right? Where it is now is like a long way from where it was before. You know, you have to think that it was just really torn up for the most part. Yeah, I think once you kind of get out there and start meeting a lot of different people or friends through shows or these different meetups, you ended up kind of building those relationships. So it is eventually about the relationships and the people that you get to know, and the cars are part of it. But later on, if you've been deep into it, it's about really how you guys met through the community at a show, or certain makes and models that you guys are into as well. I try to go to as many meets as I can, but busy with work and kids. Of course, our own show at All Makes Welcome, part of Commodity, our little coffee shop in Long Beach. But yeah, there's also so many great shows out there that we've met tons of friends through. I think just through the community of like different, just during the build process, right? I think it's just been kind of a group effort for asking questions or having advice from your friends of what to do, or bouncing ideas for sure. Well, with any of the 2002s in general, I think it's kind of just getting harder to find them, whether they're the roundies or the square tails. It's kind of hard to find. But I've been in it for so long that I kind of remember like what prices were then and what there are now, and parts availability. But with anything, it's as long as you want it, you can probably try to find it, right? No, I go through the drive-thrus and, you know, run some errands, different car meets. You end up driving it when you can. Sometimes it just sits around. I think it's the longest project, so to speak, that I have as I pick up different cars or different projects that I have. So it is just definitely sentimental about this one, so to speak, from where I used to work to how we found it, the progression of it, selling it, getting it back, having help throughout, where it is now and how it stands. So I think that's kind of the most important thing about this, the backstory. I think I get a lot of attention. You don't see them in this condition a lot, and it is unique. The color's unique. This is kind of this isn't a BMW color. This is a Lamborghini color. It's Grigio Telesto, kind of unique. This is kind of the third iteration. When it first came out, it was white, and then I painted it black at one point, and then this is the third one that this color kind of just really stood out. I've seen it out there, and it was kind of just like a last-minute decision. When you add up 15 years, I think a lot of things can happen during that time, whether it's business success or failures that you have, like the ups and downs of life maybe. But when you look back at 15 years, I'm sure you can find some like really some great gems and some really horrible moments as well. But I think the backstory, or even kind of this whole thing, is just really time spent.
This is Yerba Linda Elite Auto Detailing. They provide best-in-class, full-service interior and exterior detailing, as well as paint protection film to protect your car from rocks and road debris, as well as ceramic coating to protect your car's paint for up to 5 years. Yerba Linda Elite Auto Detailing has been in business for many years and has helped car owners revive their rides. Be sure to schedule an appointment today at www.yerbalindaeliteautodetailing.com.